guys, it's Manager Kylie, and in today's video, I'm going to share with you how to do the water polo score sheet. So today I'm going to go through an NCAA water polo score sheet. This sheet kind of goes over all the information you need to know, scoring, tracking penalties, anything you might need to know to keep track of a water polo match. If you have any questions about it, definitely let me know in the comments down below. If you have any other questions about any score sheet you would like to see a video for, definitely let me know that in the comments down below. If you're interested in more sports administration videos just like this, definitely subscribe button, turn the bell to get notified every time I upload. I post a new video every single Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern time, and we're going to dive into the score sheet. So here's our water polo score sheet. I'm going to zoom in some different sections when I'm showing it to you, but this is what the NCAA score sheet looks like for water polo. You have your two different teams on each side, so you have the white caps and the blue caps, so it's kind of based on their cap color where they're going to be. You have all your basic information on the top. You then have timeouts, and then this is all of the game remarks. So goals, penalties, anything like that gets marked here, and then these are where your rosters are, and that's where you mark it for the individual players. So before the game starts, you're going to start at the top of this page with the dates and times and all of that. So we can just say that the date is, say, 12/5/21. Start time, we're going to say it's 5:45. Finish time, you can put it when the game actually ends. Your location over here, you can put it, like, let's just say it's at the Y, and then game number. If it's some sort of tournament or something and you're playing multiple games, you can put like game number 2 or whatever that is relevant to that. The next thing you're going to do is the team. So we can put, say this is the fins and this is the fish. You just put the two different teams in there for your team name. So whatever the team mascots or schools or whatever you want to put, you can put right there. You're then going to fill in their rosters. So you can put in their different number names. So if you say you just have generally last names, so you can put Johnson, you can put B, C, like whatever you want to put for last names, you just fill in kind of what they have. So you have the options for 1 through 20 depending on which cap numbers they have. So you could put in all their different last names in these different areas. So now the real thing to focus on is the remark section. So this section down here, there's lots of different columns for this that all repeat. So I'm actually going to zoom you in on this first column of it so we can really see what I'm writing in this. So this is as the game is going on. So once the game starts, you just watch the game, and anytime one of the major events happen, so either some sort of goal or some sort of penalty or exclusion happens, this is when you're going to put it. So those fouls and the goals are really the things you're watching. So the game goes on, and we can say at 6 minutes and 2 seconds, cap number 5 for the white team. And you can say that it's a goal. You can do this in a few different ways. You're going to put a G for goal. It could be easier if you put like all the penalties on one side and you just kind of put the G on this side for goal, or you could put them in the middle. It's kind of how you want to do it. It's generally easier if you put like all your exclusions and penalties on one side and goals. It might be easier to find it too. And then you put the score. So that means white team scored. So now it's 1-0. You always want to put this white dash blue. Game continues. You can say now it's 4 minutes and 50 seconds. Cap number 10 for the blue. Also a goal. Now it's 1-1. When you do, each time that they score one of these goals, you want to also make sure that you go up to this section. So for this one, the first one was white 5. You want to go up to white number 5 right here. You want to then go over, and in that first period, they scored a goal. So you're just going to put a line right here. A lot of this is written out for you right here. So all your goals, you put all these specific marks depending on the type of goal. And then it also talks about your fouls. Now that we also know that blue 10 scored a goal, you can go to 10, blue, and then in that first period, they scored a goal. Game continues at 4:11. Cap number 14 for that blue team had an exclusion. And the score is still 1-1. Now you're going to go over to cap number 14. This is one of their major fouls. So what you're going to do is just an exclusion in the first period. You're going to go over to their 3 foul boxes. So each one has those 3 foul boxes. And you are going to put that it is an exclusion. and that it happened in that first period. That just allows you to keep track of when everything happened. So if for some reason you need to go back and check those, you can go back to the remarks down here and check that. Sometimes these remarks are going to be really full and sometimes they're not. One thing I forgot to mention, you can also mark right here is if they won the sprint at the beginning of the game. So we can say that white won it and it was cap number 8 that won the sprint to start the game. You can just put like an X right there just to keep track of who won each one of the sprints. Just gives you another place to mark things. You are also able to mark shot attempts right here as well if you need to do that, but we're going to focus just on the goals. The game then continues, and we can say at 2 minutes and 25 seconds, number 9 for the white team scored another goal. We can then make it 2-1, go up to number 9. And then put a tally mark. And then at the end of the game, if you weren't able to get everybody's names, you could also at the end of the game go up to some sort of coach or manager or something and get the rest of the names that you're missing to fill in some of the different details on somebody's cap. Now we're going to say that some sort of more major penalty or a penalty shot happened. So if in the act of shooting, if somebody was fouled, it's more of a penalty. It's a penalty shot. So we're going to say at 1:15, we had number 12 for the blue team had a penalty. So this is a penalty foul. So you put a P instead of an E. It's still 2-1. And then at that time, we're going to go over. So number 15, go over. So they had a penalty in that first period. And the penalty shot was made. So still at 1:15. We can say that number 4 for the white team took the penalty shot. And then for your goal, you are going to put that it was a penalty goal. So you can put PG. That's a P. Just so you can mark right here, you can see, or you can put G-P. You got to make sure that you mark that it's a penalty goal. And then that makes it 3-1. And then in the above section, instead of just putting that tally for number 4, you are going to put a P. And this just continues for the rest of that first quarter. At the end of the quarter, you can do this in 2 ways. You can just draw a line, or I think the easiest way to do this is write end Q1, and then draw a nice bolded line just so you can tell that that's the end of Q1. And then you're going to continue on. One thing you do want to make sure at the end of Q1, you want to check the number of goals you have. So you want to go through here and say, okay, 1, 2, 3 goals. Okay, looks good. And then, yep, 1, 2, okay, they had 3 down here. Okay, over on this side, we had 1 goal on this side. Okay, check the remarks, and they had 1 goal. So kind of looking at the sheet as a whole. Then you can go down here to this bottom section and say at the end of the first, white had 3 goals, blue had 1 goal, and fill in that. The game would then continue. You would fill in all your other quarters. So anytime you had exclusions, goals, penalties, you would fill that in right here. So you keep track of it. At the end of each quarter, you would mark the end of the quarter. The few other things that are on here is an extra man goal. So if for some reason you were up a man, that's how you would mark that as a goal. So natural goal is when both teams are at full strength. And then you have your penalty goals when you shoot a penalty shot. And then your exclusion goal, which is when you have that extra man. So that's just kind of how you mark everything. If for some reason these, especially extra man goals, they're not as picky and as you mark them, as long as you make sure that you're keeping track of all the goals, how they're marked, and when they happen. Again, sometimes you're going to fill in every single one of these columns. It's always good to have extra ones of these sheets. Sometimes you're going to need multiple sheets. And then other times you're only going to need the 1 sheet. You're not even going to fill in all the columns once. The other thing that you could end up having, so we'll say in this second period, we have at 6 minutes and 50 seconds. Instead of cap, you can put the head coach of the white team, call the timeout. So you can put TO. And then put the score. We'll say it's still 3-1. And then right here, you can mark the timeout at what time it was. So 6:50. 50. That just allows you to mark that, and it's might also helpful if you put like Q2, just so you know when it happens and you can go back again to check that. They do have their 3 full minute timeouts, and then they also have the 20-second. If this was a 20-second next to it, you could just put -20 second, just so you can mark that separately too, and be able to tell when it is that shorter timeout versus that longer timeout. You're able to tell that difference, but everything's on this piece of paper. And it all just repeats as each quarter. If for some reason somebody was to switch caps, their cap was to break, anything like that, and they don't have an extra of the same number, you can just write in when they change numbers. That's another thing. You can put in the time that it happened, which team it was, and then you can put in the number, and you can just say that they changed cap to, and then put the other number, just so you have a note of that if that was to happen. And then when the game is over, you want to check over everything, make sure you have anything. You definitely want to pay attention to the game, but you also, there's sometimes a lot to write down. You do want to have both of your referees print and sign, so you would just have them write their name, and then you would have a signature, and then you'd have them print their name, and then you'd have them sign, just so you have all the ref's information. And then when the game is over, you can go in there and say it ended at 7 o'clock. Whatever time it ends, you can go in there, put that end time, and that's kind of all the basics you need to know. If you have any questions, please let me know. But this just allows you to keep track of who wins the sprints and then what happens in every part of the game. When everything's called, this is kind of like a running live stat of when everything's called. So you just keep track of all the major events. And then once the game is over, you are able to just check that, make sure everything adds up, put all your total score, and then at the bottom down here, you want to put that total score. So right now it's 3-1, but you would put the total score, make sure everything matches on here, and this is kind of how you keep track of everything. So if you have any questions, please let me know, and I hope you found this helpful. So I hope you guys found this helpful. Again, if you have any questions about the sport of water polo, the rules, how the score sheet works, anything like that, feel free to leave those in the comments down below. Again, if you want to see this for any other sport, hockey, basketball, anything, let me know. I'd be happy to send you to a video I've already made or make a video explaining that. But I really hope you guys enjoyed learning about the water polo score sheet. It's definitely a fun sport to watch. And I will see you guys next Wednesday.